Newcastle and Gateshead, the two towns that, cities that got together to bid for Capital of Culture in 2008. I'm here to share the experience because that was my city of success. And it was successful because of the diversity agenda that was brought about through the processes. And I would very much like to share with you what it meant to actually be galvanized by this very interesting and powerful process. So I hope to share that with you and look forward to meeting you later.
Aziz Zeria, thank you so much.
And the political system in Liverpool has been very difficult, you know. I mean, in fact, even politicians shy away from Liverpool until now. And Manchester has always been the city that has kind of outshined Liverpool at everything, you know, including football, of course. So this was a chance for Liverpool to make it, and I think it was a good opportunity.
I have a question about the partnerships, because I'm very interested in this partnership project, but I realize it's very, very hard, especially to make it sustainable. And I was wondering, well, first of all, did the partners choose the other partner, or were they appointed? And which problems did occur, and what were solutions? I can imagine, for example, that the trajectory needs some coaching, for example. And do the partnerships, or some of them, still exist?
Actually, the answer is going to be quite a detailed one, because you asked so many questions. All right. Okay. The partnerships had to be selected. And it was really very much left to me to decide how to choose that. And of course I had to be very careful, because it was my work, my reputation, and the time of other people, the resources. So, you know, we had to think through very, very carefully. And by the time we selected the partners, we had already had lengthy discussions with a number of groups that we thought would benefit, you know. But we also, you know, we had to look at, first of all, community groups and what they had done, what their reputation was in the community. Sometimes what happens, you can find, for instance, we have this kind of an event and somebody will come and they're really very vociferous, very articulate, and they come across well. But when they go back to the community, nobody wants to listen to them, you know. So you have to be very careful. So we had to think through who we are going to select from the communities. We selected kind of maybe 3 to 5 groups like that. The culture minister from Belgium, he talked about the importance of incorporating small communities, minority-ethnic communities. I think it's good, you know. And I think sometimes it is better to be inclusive, because I think my own opinion is ghettos are not very good for anything, you know. People are sometimes by circumstance, sometimes you know, by you know, whatever reason, find themselves in ghettos. But that cannot be a destination for life. You know, there has to be an opportunity to move out, and I think it's creating sort of an environment which helps people move out of those things. Yes, sir.
You just mentioned that cities will lack some kind of cultural development, powerful cultural development, and more chance to become a cultural capital of Europe than, for instance, because which is, as you said, too good. More and more you say that the process is more important. What was the goal of the whole?
I think
my question is, did you believe that you would ever become Newcastle become a European capital?
Well, I mean, if you heard, I thought, I did say very clearly that Newcastle Gateshead were pretty convinced that that got in the bag. I mean, if you had told them midnight before we were going to get it, they would have got everything, all the money that we were going to win. That is how close it was, you know. And that kind of a fantasy was I think also was also kind of perhaps promoted by the fact that Tony Blair was the man of the region, you know. But of course now Tony Blair is not good news anyway. Oh, goodness. I don't think they'll let me back in the UK. but you know, I mean, it didn't help. Yes.
How much of the whole process was already finished when you did your bidding, I think in 2003? And what was the development after that, after the merger?
Okay. I think some of the processes probably took longer, you know, to complete. And I think the bid is the award was announced a couple of years later. In 2005, I think it was announced. Yeah, you see. So I actually completed this work that I was assigned by the end of 2003. And so...
And what was there then to be done?
Oh, I think a lot of things had to be done there. For instance, you know, to ensure the partnership that we had developed were going to continue. You know, so there was going to be investment beyond that time. The developments that were set out, physical developments, were going to continue, and then the infrastructure for that was going to also continue to develop. So I suggested that the education sector, the creative sector, the commercial sector were all working together. And even now, there's an organization called One East that works very closely with various networks. And I think the process is continuing. I don't think there's such a thing that it is completed, but the key milestones were done. I mean, by 2003, the Sage was complete, the Baltic was complete, you know, the Keysat was complete, from the Millennium Bridge was already open. So these big landmark things had happened. Yes.
Can you give an example of how that took place, the strengthening of the cultural community?
Okay. A lot of voluntary organizations work ad hoc. They have one or two people who are very enthusiastic, a lot of energy, a lot of ideas, but often no structure, you know. So you have to get them to think about structure. Well, you want to do this, how are you going to do it? You know, who is going to do it? Have you got the time? Have you got the money? Have you got the space? You know, have you got the networks? How is it going to happen? And it was that process, you see. And once we had actually built that confidence and relationship, the next thing was to talk to the mainstream. And in this case, it was the Sage, who were a huge project because they were huge before.
Sorry, what is the Sage?
The Sage is a venue in Gateshead, and it's a house for Northern Sinfonia. So they were hugely experienced anyway before even the venue was built. A lot of expertise in management and marketing and everything, you know, because what were going to be Sage's responsibility, what were going to be Jamaat's responsibility, what are going to be the collective goals, what are going to be the individual aspirations, you know. And that way, when things were agreed, milestones were set up, job and post was created, and now it's a very thriving organization. So that is important.